Welcome to the Gump Report. Now, I'm making this Gump Report before Empower and before 73 anniversary of the NWA. I'm not really talking about that. What I'm talking about now is what has happened right now in the landscape of pro wrestling. CM Punk has now been seen in the last 2 weeks. We have not seen Bryan Danielson yet. Adam Cole has already finished doing TakeOver 36, and he's still not being stated to re-sign with WWE yet. So we don't know what's going on. The landscape of wrestling is currently in flux. Maybe that might be the name of this video. Not sure yet. But what do we really get right now after what's happened with the aftermath of Vince firing a whole bunch of people? Not even sure if there's not more coming. He's already fired about 120 people, I believe. I could be wrong about the number, but I think it's nearly 100 people that he has fired already. Many of them wrestlers. What does this mean for Impact Wrestling, from MLW, for New Japan Pro Wrestling, for ROH, for AEW, for NWA? It's going to be a huge influx of people. There is no way we're not going to get it. Now, I've already been told by a couple of my subscribers that Braun Strowman might be going. JD just said that there's a possibility that Bray Wyatt may be going to Impact Wrestling, and he put it in his title, but it doesn't mean he believes that he should go to Impact Wrestling due to the fact of how small it is, even though Access TV does have a certain amount of people, more than 10 to 20 million, and they can get between 700 to a million subscribers, but they're not in the American market. This is outside the American market, as I've said before, and that's what Impact wants. They want the American market, and they never had a very good opportunity other than Spike, which never was really giving them what they needed, next to the mismanagement. So we got a lot of questions. A lot of things are in flux. A lot of things are just fluctuating. We don't know what's going on. But I will say this, and this is an interesting thing that I was thinking about. With so many changes to wrestling, NXT is about to get altered in the next couple of months, and it will no longer be NXT that people currently like now. AEW now has Rampage and now has aired CM Punk. We know that Bryan Danielson is signed. We know Wyndham Rotunda. I'm actually saying his name right this time. I don't know why. I usually botch. But Wyndham, either he's going to Impact or he's going to AEW. Many people speculate he'll go to AEW. Many people now they're saying maybe he's going to either New Japan or Impact. We don't know. But no matter what's going on, we have a lot of content to look through. But does this really help pro wrestling? Sorry, my nose is itchy. I got allergies. Anyway, this is what I'm thinking. Does this really help pro wrestling? So many people say this is this is a new era for pro wrestling. No. No. Only people who are not looking at what's going on do not understand 100%. I may be still wrong about this. This is just my humble speculation. But if I am right, they're not seeing the full scope of what's going on. Yes, many people have predicted that when CM Punk came back, things would be explosive, and they're right. But this is not about just CM Punk or Bryan Danielson or Wyndham Rotunda or Braun Strowman. Formerly known Braun Strowman is now, I think the subscriber called him Titan. Buddy Murphy or anyone else. Hell, the Iconics coming in. You got so many people who have left WWE who now are going to spread themselves across possibly not one promotion, but maybe 5 or 10 promotions. We don't know. But the key of this is not short-term gain. As I've always said with the WWE, when they try to change things up, but it never works. They try to do shock value every single time. Every time the WWE does shock value. And everyone is going, look, this could be great. In a couple of weeks, everything will be incredible. And I always say, wait and see. Because shock value does not equal long-term gain. It just means short-term gain. And we have no idea how the true landscape of wrestling is going to change. Remember, guys, As much as everyone wants to say that pro wrestling is loved by a huge audience, it's not. It's not the 1980s. It's not the late 90s. We're in 2021, where a lot of things have changed for pro wrestling. And the key of this entire situation to see how long-term the effects are. It's like when someone drops a stone into a pond and you see the ripples. Where does the ripples go is the key here. Because as much as, and I know my subscribers say, everything's going to be great, it's going to be awesome, wait until you see it. I'm going to say, no. How many years have we heard this from WWE? How many years with Impact Wrestling, they changed multiple times when they left Spike, went to Destination America, ended with Anthem, and now they're on Access TV. How many times did they make ripples that didn't get them anywhere? And so many people said, this is going to be incredible, things are going to work. And what have I always said? Wait and see. Don't rush. Because in many cases, once that initial drop into the pond starts making those huge ripples, the question's going to be, what will those ripples create? And in many cases, they don't create as much as we think. Remember, guys, this is the fan base for wrestling. This is the casuals. You can say a lot about WWE, and I don't like them. The people that are in there, I still love. I still love Naomi. I still hope Tamina gets a world title, not because I think she's the greatest wrestler in sliced bread. It's because she's been long enough to get it, especially how they're booking the women. She now has tag titles. I'd rather see her get a title once for 2 months and then drop. I love me Sasha Banks. She's my favorite. She is. I love that woman. Bianca Belair is great. Bayley's great. Don't know about Becky Lynch now. And maybe I might make a video on Becky. I might. On how she screwed up going along with this idea of her turning heel. But the point is, there are a lot of people I love in the WWE, but the WWE sucks. But they understand one thing, and this is something that many people don't get, much as you don't want to agree with this. The casuals make money. That's the truth. So the reason why the WWE changed over for kids, I'm not saying it's right, because we want real wrestling. I want real wrestling. I've been a fan since I've been maybe 6 or 7 years old. I am 50. I had to take a 11-year hiatus due to the fact my wife at the time didn't care about wrestling. And next to working so many hours for so many years, I barely had time to even watch it. So I barely saw it for almost 11 years. But I still love it. But even with the hardcore fans who go and spend huge amounts of money on memorabilia, on tickets, on signing autographs, they're willing to spend thousands of dollars to come from a different country to go to a venue where whatever promotion, which is WWE, that they will see them. Does not mean they get the hugest amount of money if the casual zones come in. Because remember ECW, they had their hardcore fans and it wasn't enough. It didn't save them. They went under. Yes, Paul Heyman said simply that the networks weren't willing to help them. And the only reason they stayed alive long as they did was because of the fans, the hardcore fans. But even the hardcore fans were not enough. If they had some casuals, along with hardcore, they could have survived a lot better. But they were in a niche, a very strong niche. This was their niche. This is casuals. They had maybe this niche, and they never caught all of the casuals. Maybe they caught about this much. So together, May gave it here, but they weren't with there. And you can say a lot with the WWE, and I've said it more than once. They suck. Their bookings suck. How they treat their wrestlers suck. How basically, look what they've done. Vince screwed over a lot of people who could gain a good amount of money that could live normally. And he fucked them on purpose. Not because the company wasn't being treated correctly because they were using their names. The only thing I had to do was just tell them to stop using the names. And that would have been the end of it. He wanted their money. That's the reason why all those Twitch accounts are stopped, due to the fact they're never going to make any money. Vince wants that money. But the point is, he understood enough with that crazy old brain of his how to get the casuals and how to make things to a certain extent work. The rest of his people fill in the blanks. So the question's going to be, especially for AEW and Impact Wrestling, MLW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, All Japan Pro Wrestling, if they come to America, and MLW and NWA, what will these ripples give us? Will it give us more of not just the casual fans, but also fans that have left wrestling because they got so pissed off because of the WWE, because that's all they watched? Or they just migrated away because many of the people who watched it were little kids and grown up and went to MMA because, well, MMA gives you a little bit more. You don't know what will be coming back. As much as people are going to say they're going to make money, and CM Punk is making money. Let's not Josh this, guys. CM Punk is making AEW money. He sold out the arena by just him just being thought about. And I'm not taking anything away from when Bryan Danielson comes in, maybe Wyndham Rotunda comes in, maybe Buddy Murphy or anyone else that could give them more and more. And that could also be for Impact, it could be for NWA, it could be for New Japan Pro Wrestling or ROH. I'm not saying that there will not be something that will give them a huge jump. But will it last is the question. Will the ripples last? Because remember, ripples last if they continue to get something back. If you drop a rock into a pond, it creates a ripple. But the ripple will eventually stop. What happens if you drop another rock? It creates another ripple. Drop another rock, you make waves. And that's what they need. Something that will build up eventually and create big waves for them that will last. Because if the waves bounce enough, they can sustain for a while. And that's what they need. The question is going to be, when will the next rock be dropped in? Will it continue the momentum? That's the big question here. I can't answer it. I don't think Braun Strowman is going to make a huge impact in Impact. That's just Impact in Impact. I'm not saying Buddy Murphy will. I don't even know if Wyndham Rotunda will make an impact. It's not about them just appearing there. It's about how the company presents them and how much of a stretch, a reach they get after they get them, and then promote them properly along with everyone else. Because as you know, when it came to Impact TNA, how many old wrestlers did they get from WWE, as many people would say? Like Jeff Hardy, like Kurt Angle, like Eric Bischoff, like a Hulk Hogan, like a Big Papa Pump. And all those people they got, but they never booked them correctly all the time. They didn't. A lot of times they didn't book these people correctly. They would book them wrong and then mess up their own new stars, like a Samoa Joe, like a Christopher Daniels, like a Frankie Kazarian, like a Daivari. Yes, he used to be in WWE, but he was also booked there. All those people were not always balanced. A lot of times there was never a good balance, which didn't always make great ripples. But you need to remember this. This is about the long-term gain of all these new talents coming to any one of these promotions. And can the promotions book them right? If they do book them really well, bring in all the current fans. Bring in fans that just stop because either they grew up and they thought wrestling, particularly WWE wrestling, sucked. Or they saw MMA and they thought it was more interesting. To bring them back and then bring the casual, that is how you make real waves with money. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying that it's right, but that's how look what the WWE did before they went corporate. That is how he did it. He brought in the regular wrestling fan. Then he appeased the hardcore fans. And he had something for the casuals. You can say a lot about Vince now. Easily. He's 76 now, guys. Vince is about 75, 76. And no matter how you play it, before he became like an idiot, He understood what wrestling really needed. Now he doesn't. And the only thing that's keeping his company alive is the networks as well as the contracts they have for streaming. The fans are angry. Yes, they're packing, but they're buying out everything? Only due to the fact of the pandemic they're buying stuff out because people got stuck home for so long. They're tired of staying home. The one thing will kill Vince, this is the truth. It's not just corporate. If corporate stops paying for the streaming services, if the networks drop him, he's screwed. What will really piss off Vince, which will really show Vince he screwed up, is not just the fans still coming, because we know fans will come because they want somewhere to go. The fans are silent. As I said before, and I'll say it again, if the fans say nothing at the pay-per-views or nothing at the regular shows and they're silent and people can see them not cheering, not booing, just sitting there like this, you know it's dead. There's no reaction. That is a bad product. And that is when Vince will know the company is dead. Yes, he'll pipe in music. He'll pipe in sounds. He'll do whatever it takes to keep the people at home thinking it's good. But the people at home, they'll see it. And they're the ones who buy everything that they sell. But it's just me. And you guys, I hope you're all right. Hope you're doing well. And I hope you enjoyed this Gump report. I may do a video on Becky Lynch next. But I'm just like... I got to see what happened on SmackDown because I did watch Rampage. I did not watch SmackDown. I'm going to see what Becky Lynch said and did this Saturday so I can understand what the situation is. And is she a heel or is she a face? And if she's a heel, she's an idiot because she fucked herself up. Peace.